The easiest way to a beast's heart is through song.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Will, and welcome back to another spoiler review for the Legend of Vox Machina Season 2. This is episode 6, entitled Into Rimcleft, or Rhymecleft. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you haven't watched the episode yet, make sure you watch the episode, and then come back and hear my spoilery thoughts on it. This one kind of wraps up this 3-episode run of this week's new episodes. I just said a bunch of redundant words there. Forgive me. If this happens to be your first time checking out my channel, hi, my name's Will, and if I'm not sitting here rambling my head off or stumbling over my words, I talk about movies and TV shows and do some gaming, some drinking, some reactions, and a whole slew of other things, usually wrapped around some form of geekiness. And if that happens to be your bag and you're interested in hearing that from a geeky bear like myself, subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to 650 subscribers this year. Help a brother out. Let's see if we can hit that goal. If not, I'm going to keep going. Either way, it will eventually happen. I'd just love to do it within a year, if at all possible. But let's talk about episode 6. So episode 6, entitled Into Rimcleft, sees our band of heroes finally making it to the mountain temple of the Sphinx that was asked to be sought out by Osisa, another Sphinx that they encountered, who is the patron of the Slayer's Take and Vasselheim. We get a few nice little conversations with some of the characters on the team as they make their way to the temple in order to present the Deathwalker's Ward, the first vestige of diversion that they achieved, to the Sphinx here at the temple. But before they actually get to this point in the episode, we get sort of a vision or a dream with our boy Grog, who is in the gladiatorial combat, and he's just chopping fools up with his new Craven's Edge blood sword that just loves to whisper in his ear that he's hungry and wants blood. And this bloodlust is starting to affect Grog in a very negative way, especially within this vision where we see that Grog has not only impaled his best friend Pike, but also has slain all the other members of Vox Machina in this very intense dream where all of his friends are dead. And this is definitely starting to put some fear into Grog as to what Craven's Edge is doing to him in terms of this bloodlust. But as they're walking, Pike is definitely getting concerned for her friend. She's the only one who's actually seen Grog kind of go ham with Craven's Edge on those weird merfolk people that they encountered in the Temple of the Matron of Ravens. So she tries to talk to Grog about it. It doesn't really work out. She wants to confide in Scanlan, but Scanlan's doing Scanlan things, and unfortunately doesn't seem to be as sincere as Pike would like, which definitely puts Scanlan in a different headspace at that point in time. We also get a lovely little conversation with Keyleth and Vax, while, Keyleth wants to know more about how Vax is doing, especially after everything that went on with Vex and her death and resurrection and wearing the vestige and stuff like that. She's just being concerned and, convinces Vax to maybe, talk to the Matron of Ravens, since you seem to have a connection with her now. Maybe she can help. And we'll see what happens with that. That's a very strong possibility. And I'm like, hey, if you're going to be her champion, she might as well give you a couple boons here and there to help out. And we get a little bit of some nice little chivalry from Percy when it comes to Vex. He puts her jacket on him because they're in a very cold place. Unfortunately, Percy still feels the weight of his actions. His carelessness is what led to Vexalia's death, and also definitely caused a rift between him and Vax, which we see well throughout this episode once they finally reach the temple, with a little help of puzzle solving thanks to Vex using that flying broom in order to get a different perspective of the situation. But they are being followed by something, and that something is going to cause a lot of problems later in the episode. But when they actually get into the temple and encounter the Sphinx's name is Kamal Giori, who is the mate of Osisa. Of course, it's a Sphinx. It's going to test them, and decides to test Vox Machina, even though they've clearly presented themselves wearing or at least one of them wearing the Deathwalker's ward. And well, he presents multiple challenges for them. They decide to choose the one of least resistance, at least that's what they think. They have to try to inflict damage to the Sphinx by any means necessary, and any form of wound as well. This is important, as all of the members go one-on-one with Kamal. I'm just going to call him Kamal for short. He easily dispatches of them, very similar to the way Osisa was testing them. He kind of reads them flat out with where they are currently in their state of mind, especially with Vax, kind of taunting his decision to wear the armor and become the matron's champion. And more importantly, with Grog, actually says something very similar to Grog that Earthbreaker Groon said to him as well when they were having their little test about where does his strength lie. And this is important because Grog's current strength, or at least his obsession with Kraven's Edge, is starting to affect him mentally and physically. As Kraven's Edge is becoming more and more hungry, it's starting to sap energy from Grog. Since Grog isn't just immediately starting to give him blood here and there, and we see it because it starts to drain the blood and the strength from his arm. So he immediately goes after Kamal and tries to destroy him, and then the rest of them try to rush at the same time, except for Scanlan, who tries to protest the Pike, asking her if there's another way, and she seems very taken aback by his decision to look for another way, when to her it seems like he's just trying to get out of it like he always does, which eventually just leaves Kamal and Scanlan left on the platform, while Kamal feels like this is a done deal and Scanlan's not going to be able to inflict any damage. Scanlan does what Scanlan does, and he performs a really heartfelt song about Osisa to Kamal, and it actually inflicts heartache to Kamal, causing him to cry or tear up at least. And it's about heartache and the fact that they both long to be together, but they can't. Even though that these Sphinx are mates and they are apart, I guess it never really hit him until someone expressed it to him. And what better person to express it to him than a bard? And he even expresses his admiration to Scanlan's like, how do you know such feelings and stuff like that? And this is a really, really interesting moment of the episode where Scanlan kind of opens up to Kamal.
I have no one. And the thing is, I want it. I just can't seem to get it right.
Perhaps you need to stop looking for love and let love find you.
Huh. Never thought about that.
Beautiful wisdom from a Sphinx, which I've always kind of been a proponent of that. Like, when people are always looking for, soulmates and things like that, you can't find that stuff. You just have to let it come to you, and when it happens, and just not be afraid to take that leap and that sort of thing. So it's a really cool bonding moment between these two characters, especially for Scanlan, because remember, Scanlan always gets the short end of the stick. People don't think he's being sincere or take him seriously, and in this moment, he's being truly sincere, especially with the song. Even though he's surprised that it actually worked, it is a moment of him being truly sincere and reaching a portion of this ancient being's heart that hasn't been touched in a long time. It sounds dirty, but I wasn't meaning for it to sound dirty. Eventually, the rest of the members of Vox Machina appear, and we just see Scanlan and Kamal just chilling. He's playing his lute, and everybody's like,
what the fuck?
In my millennia of existence, this is the wisest sage I've ever known.
The fuck?
So it's like the funniest moment of the episode, in my opinion. And that bonding that Kamal Giori and Scanlan have, Kamal presents Scanlan with Mythcarver, which is another vestige. And this sword has the ability, it like holds all the myths and legends, and it is what they use in order to try to locate the other vestiges. And Scanlan is able to at least locate two of the vestiges using Mythcarver. One is a bow that it seems to be in the Feywild, which plays into the fact that Keyleth can now transport them across the plains. That's going to be probably their next step. And there's another one that he sees, a pair of gauntlets on the arms of a Goliath, or who looks very similar to Grog, who appears to be in Westrom. This is, I believe, Grog's uncle, who is currently in possession of, I think they're called the Titan Stones. I want to say that's the name of the vestige. Whatever the name is, it's right here. Especially the name of the bow, too. That's right here as well. But those seem to be the next two vestiges that they're going to be looking for, since they now have two in their possession, at least for the next like 25-30 seconds, because unfortunately they have an uninvited guest in the form of Umbrasyl, who is tracked down thanks to Ripley's knowledge and tracking of them, and goes immediately on the assault and tries to get control of Mythcarver. And in the fray and the battle, we get some assistance from Kamal Giori, and we see him going up against Umbrasyl. But unfortunately, Kamal Giori, while he's trying to save Scanlan, Umbrasyl is able to get a hold of Mythcarver. In this battle, we do see Grog using Craven's Edge and dealing damage to Umbrasyl, but the bloodlust begins to take over even greater than it has up until this point, leading the decision to retreat and to escape on Keyleth in order to try to open a portal to the Feywild. But Grog is completely in a bloodlust rage and going at it against Umbrasyl. When Pike tries to get a hold of him to snap him out of it, she is run through by Craven's Edge, which is the only thing that snaps Grog out of this bloodlust rage that he's currently being consumed by. Grog has just skewered his best friend and is completely distraught, but Scanlan's able to snap him out of it long enough to pick up Pike and get to the transportation circle before Keyleth takes off. But even by the time Keyleth actually bamps out of there, the spell is partially interrupted by Umbrasyl's attack. We see they're transporting through the plains or wherever they're going. Grog, Pike, and Scanlan are thrown off at some point. Vex, Vax, Percy, and Keyleth make it to the Feywild with no idea where Grog, Scanlan, and Pike are at this point in time, with Pike herself being mortally wounded by her best friend. Unless Scanlan's got a potion on him, I don't know who's healing Pike, because Pike's the healer. And that's basically where the episode ends. So, again, another cliffhanger. But that just means we just have to wait a week for 3 glorious new episodes coming up. It's a great cliffhanger to end on. We're already at the halfway point with these episodes, with episode 6, and they already have found 2 vestiges. One is currently in their possession, the other one is currently in the possession of the Chrome Conclave. So most likely Grog and Vex will get a hold of their vestiges in the next few episodes. It's unknown at this point if we will see the remaining vestiges come into play before the end of season 2. That's why I'm really wondering if they're going to get all of them by the end of season 2. It's very possible, since in these 3 episodes we've already discovered 4 vestiges, 2 that were physically in people's possession. I wouldn't put it past them, but I honestly don't imagine them defeating the Chroma Conclave before the end of the season. You probably will get all of them to obtain their vestiges, and then maybe defeat one of them. And then the next season will be about defeating the other 3. That's my best guess. We know we're going to have some adventures in the Feywild. Don't know what's going to happen with Grog, Scanlan, and Pike. But in terms of where they ended up, did they also end up in the Feywild, or did they end up someplace else? That still remains to be seen. I really like this episode. I really like that this was a very Grog-centric episode, and it focused on the ramifications of what Craven's Edge is doing to him. Obviously, he needs to get rid of the sword, and that seems to be probably the focus of one of the 3 episodes of next week. Will probably lead into his confrontation with who I assume is his uncle, based off of the vision of the person in his nightmare at the beginning of the episode, and the vision that Scanlan saw using Mythcarver of whoever's in possession of the vestige. That's probably going to be Grog's new mission, and that will be his new weapon to replace Craven's Edge. So that would only leave vestiges left for Percy, Keyleth, and Pike. I only know this based off of some of the readings I've been doing on the Vestiges of Divergence, just from what was done in the original campaign. With Ripley, my understanding is that she was in possession of Cabal's Run, which is the vestige that I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, critters, is what ends up going to Percy. It's like a cloak or something like that. Would make sense why Ripley is playing such a factor in these 3 episodes, wheelings and dealings and securing her, I guess, usefulness or safety when it comes to the Chroma Conclave, because these are 4 ancient dragons who don't really need a lot of humans to a certain extent. We still don't know who was responsible for helping Thordak escape the fire plane. That seems to be a mystery that should hopefully be revealed before the end of the season. Let me know anything that I might have missed from this episode in the comments. I really like Scanlan's performance and how he was able to subdue Kamal and pass his trial. I thought that was really cool. Hopefully this incident with Grog will help him bounce back and find the strength that everyone keeps asking where his strength comes from. Enough people are questioning where your strength comes from, and I believe the challenge of obtaining the vestige from who I assume is his uncle is the main factor that is going to lead to him discovering where his strength truly lies. So that is my review of episode 6 entitled Into Rimcleft for The Legend of Vox Machina Season 2. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for checking out this and all of my videos. I really do appreciate it. And if this happens to be your first time and you did enjoy this video, please subscribe to the channel. It would really mean a lot to me and help me out. You can follow me on a lot of different social media platforms listed at the end of this video. I do have a ton of videos on this channel right now that you're more than welcome to check out. Like I said, episodes 4 and 5's reviews should be on the channel right now at the time that you're watching this video. So please go back and check those out as well. Feel free to go back and watch episodes 1 through 3 as well. They are all individual videos on this channel. I have other videos on here like trailer reactions and things like that. So feel free to check any of those out. I will see you most likely next week for episodes 7, 8, and 9. So look forward to those. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And as always, until next time, I will catch you later. See ya. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you did like this video, why not give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends? You can subscribe to the channel by clicking on my gorgeous little face right over there. You can follow me on all the various social media platforms right below. And last but certainly not least, if you've got a few extra minutes, why not check out one of the lovely videos floating right over here. Later.